Straight to the head of the line. You don't have to be a part of the alliance. You don't have to be part of the group.
Wait a minute.
And the biggest thing is you don't have to wait. You hop, skip, and jump right in front of everybody. 125 gets you there. You do that 3 times, and you get mashed down to the $75 rate for perpetuity.
Yes!
Also, there is a band review option. So if you've got a band and you're trying to get your band some exposure, hit me up at instory@gmail.com, and I'll show you the details about how to pull that off.
You can also jump on Patreon, and there is a option on the tiers to be able to get your band reviewed. Yep. Obviously, we can't lie to you, so we can't guarantee a positive review. Get what you get.
It's just rubbish.
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 That's British for garbage.
My favorite is the community option. $1 at the gate gets you in at Patreon. You get to join an alliance. The alliance joins their points together, and that helps determine what songs that we do.
The alliances hang out on Discord.
Message me on Patreon to get the link.
And they do all kinds of other cool things. They do Minecraft, Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. It's really a community within the community. Anybody can go in the village, facebook.com/VinandSory. There's 160,000+ people on the channel. What's cool about the Discord is that it offers a real opportunity for community connection, friendship, that type of thing.
And it's on Discord, so if you're not a Facebook person, it's for you.
You start off at $1.
Right.
Plus you get exclusives. Sory and I are working on a song. So the first 15 seconds of that was on Patreon. Also, at $15 tier and above, when we actually debut the video, they're going to be there live with us. There you are, dear listener.
Buy our merch.
Buy our merch, indeed. A child shall lead them.
To buy our merch.
Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. Yes, dear listener. We are right about to do a stream with the big homie DJ Nick. The legendary, the one and only. I am giving you beautiful people at least 10 minutes. 10 minutes. 10 minutos to go over to Vin and Sory Live. Yes, dear listener. Vin and Sory Live is where you need to go. Not Vin and Sory, Vin and Sory Live. Go to Vin and Sory Live. And that's where we're going to be streaming. All of our live streams are at Vin and Sory Live. You're going to want to log out of the regular Vin and Sory and go to Vin and Sory Live, dear listener. When we chop up these videos and we have them on the regular Vin and Sory on the live side, and then we chop them up individually and put them up on the main page, YouTube looks at it as if we're, basically repurposing is what they call it. So we got to do the live streams on Vin and Sory Live, and then we do, your videos will show up on the regular Vin and Sory channel. So that's why I am giving you beautiful people, let's say, I will give you 8 minutes. My goal was to start at what do you call it? 8:45. Sorry, 9:45, so that you guys could have 15 minutes. But the early bird gets the worm. I don't feel bad for none of y'all. Vanguard Fonseca, good to see you. ZFG, Central Scrutinizer, picked. Shout out to Applejack. DJ Applejack is about to start. DJ Applejack's about to start. I'm sweating and shit. You guys see me sweating? My wife just cooked me up some authentic spicy food, so I'm pretty happy about that. So yes. Where's the big homie? I don't even think Nick's in here yet. That's how early I am. We're professionals in this place, dear listener. Remember, guys, if you are on Vin and Sorry, you're gonna want to go to Vin and Sorry Live. That is Vin and Sorry Live, because the regular Vin and Sorry channel is gonna get muted in about 8 minutes. Okay. So please, for the love of everything sacred, go to Vin and Sorry Live. Amy Lee in the house. Ben Bear in the house. DJ Nick is going to blast us tonight. E-Fog in the house. What's up, E-Fog? Where's the Red Bull? I think I've actually sworn off Red Bull, to be honest with you. I'm not supposed to be drinking Pepsi between you and I. Phone Seca. What's the channel? Can't find it. Let me put the actual link. Hey, I got some wrench heads in here. Wrench people, put the link in the chat, please. Vin and Sorry Live. Hold on, let me see. Chat. Restream chat. Okay, hold on. Yep, see, Ben Bear has it. Ben Bear has it. I will also have it for you beautiful people. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to Vin and Sorry Live, dear listener. You're going to want to do that. I promise you. You're going to want to do that.
You want this blanket there, baby?
Yeah, we'll fix it. Don't worry. We'll fix it. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to Vin and Sorry Live. And hit the bell button so that you can hear when we're going live. I only see 6 people on Vin and Sorry Live. What a tragedy. What a tragedy.
What a crying shame.
You guys are going to miss out on some wonderful, wonderful, wonderful material. Why do I hear myself?
I don't know. I need my laptop.
I only hear myself through the left side of the thingamajig.
Oh? Okay.
Dwayne, make sure you're on Vin and Sorry Live. Make sure you're on Vin and Sorry Live, Dwayne. I'm sweating. That's spice.
Yeah.
It's good. Did we do something about that light?
Yep.
Hunter in the house. Did I hear about the new Pope? Yes, I did hear about the new Pope. What do I think? I think that's cool. Don't Jamaicans hate black Americans? No, I do not hate black Americans. I'm a Jamaican. I do not hate my people. Like I said, don't Jamaicans hate black Americans? My mother was a Jamaican. She married a black American after her and my dad didn't work out. You know what I'm saying? So my brother was a black American. Rest in peace to him. So no, we don't hate black Americans. Allahu Akbar. DJ Nick picked all the huge, very huge. Yeah, these are very huge bands for sure.
Did somebody say huge, or is that how you were reading it?
They said huge.
Oh, they did, Ben.
They said huge.
Of course.
Of course.
I used to have a teacher that would say that.
I used to have a president that would say that. Guys, go to Vin and Sorry Live. Vin and Sorry Live. Hit the like button and the bell button. Subscribe to Vin and Sorry Live so that when these things jump on, you will be notified, because there is coming a day when we will no longer do this. We will go extremely to Vin and Sorry Live, and if you're not there, you're not there. What can I say?
Yes, you've been warned.
You've been warned. So many times you've been warned. You've been warned. Shout out to all the Twitterati, all the good people over there on Twitter. Good to see you. Good to see you, wonderful people on Twitter. What happened? Oh, the charger? Yes, dear listener, this is shaping up to be a pretty hardcore thingamajig. When the big homie shows up, it'll be time to rock and roll. We still have 10 people on Vin and Sorry. You have 2 minutes and 49 seconds to jump onto Vin and Sorry Live.
Did your headphone get situated?
I am posting the thingamajiggy there in the chat. Ben has posted it in the chat. All you admins, post it in the chat. Vin and Sorry Live. It's gonna be crazy. I think we got Lamb of God, we got Metallica, we got Machine Head. It's gonna be crazy. We got DJ Nick.
I think we have Iron Maiden.
We have Iron Maiden. DJ Nick, show yourself. Reveal yourself, DJ Nick.
Is your headphone situation taken care of?
You posted the link to this video in this video. It's the wrong link. Go to DJ Ben's link as if he tested it too. I posted a link and he clicked on it. That's what I'm saying. Like this guy, he would never make a mistake on anything. I swear to God, he would not make a mistake on Nathan. Oh my goodness gracious, gracious goodness. Yeah, see, as soon as I did that, the count went the wrong way. Hey, we need you beautiful people on Vin and Sorry Live. You have 1 more minute left. And it's Vin and Sorry Live. Hey, there goes the birthday boy himself, DJ Nick and this bitch.
Oh, it's his birthday?
No, but that's what I call people when it's their day to be a DJ. I call them the birthday boy, the birthday girl, whatever you want to say.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Nick. I think we did celebrate his birthday one time. I think he did have a good B-Day stream. Matt Mack in the house. Good evening. I knew a Matt Mack one time.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, destroyed him in an arm wrestling.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
What can be done?
That was a grown man that happened to. That was a grown man that happened to. Shout out to my man E-Fog in this bitch. We got 1 minute left, guys.
Video's up on Patreon if you're interested.
Yep. Shout out to all the patrons. Video is up. That is true. I've got a little thingy called Dar Al Hab. I'll probably post that up for you beautiful people pretty soon. It's on the docket. Guys, Vin and Sorry Live. Vin and Sorry Live. All you gotta do is go into your thingamajiggy. You'll see it. Ben, post it again, Ben. Post it again. Amy, post it again because we cannot trust the hosts to post correctly.
Oh, no.
18 seconds, dear listener. You're gonna want to go to Vin and Sorry Live. You're going to want to go to Vin and Sorry Live. There's 18 seconds left. 18 seconds left. All the Twitterati are good because you got to go to Twitter and tag the thing to the thingamajig.
On it.
All right, guys. Oh, there it is. It's at 0, and we are now going to lose. Oh, go in there and put that on private, por favor, in studio. All right, there's still 9 of you over on regular Vin and Sorry, so I'm going to give you guys a little bit of bonus time because you poor misguided souls are still on the regular Vin and Sorry. We need you on Vin and Sorry Live so you don't miss out on none of the festivities. We would hate for that to happen to you. It's not a threat, it's a promise. We don't want you to miss out on the glories of Vin and Sorry Live, dear listener. You need to go to Vin and Sorry Live. Go ahead, what you got?
Nothing.
Figured it out? Okay, yeah, we'll just hold on for a second. All right, guys. Having said that, it is time. The moment has arrived.
Yep.
The medal is here, and we are going to kill Vin and Sorry. Bang!
Okay.
Bang! Confirm. Okay, now you can.
Already did.
Okay.
Just did.
Wonderful.
And I'm gonna post that one over there.
All right, we're in good shape. So once you got that set up, we can read Nick's intro to the very, very wonderful, the mighty and powerful groups that he's got here, and then it's going to be time to rock and roll. Mm-hmm. Pretty excited for these bands, bruh.
Yeah.
It's a whole night of main stagery.
Yep. All right.
A whole night of main stagery.
Just get my headphones. Okay. Let's see here. Give me 2 minutes.
Fun fact, the background music here is a variation of a song. I think it's called Grace, and it's on this album.
Oh, really?
Yeah, this album's called Wrath, is the name of the record. And then this particular song is called Grace. So, fun fact.
right. So we are on Rumble and we are on Twitter right now, right?
We should
Just
not
to
be on
clear?
Rumble. We
We're
should be
not
on
Rumble.
Twitter and Inventory Live.
Okay.
We made it very simple for you beautiful people.
Yes, we did.
Shout out to all the people that hung out with us yesterday to watch True Detective. We are in season 1, episode 3 and 4. Holy smagoli. If you haven't seen that show,
So fun.
it is so fun. The big homie director
Evil Pal.
Evil Pal put us in a really, really cool situation. So shout out to Evil Pal and shout out to you guys for coming through. That was such a fun experience watching it with all you beautiful people. For real, for real. I ain't gonna lie to you.
All right, well, let's begin. What we have up is a DJ stream from the big homie Nick. As you guys know him, DJ and director Nick, depending on which hat he wears. Tonight,
Oh, that's right. He's directed a couple too.
Tonight, he is a DJ. And this is the introduction for his stream. Also, he picked this lovely background for us.
Yes, sir. Reed Bomber.
He says, for tonight's stream, I decided to pick one of the longest and epic songs by some familiar metal favorites. All these songs range between 7 to 11 minutes long. These merciless songs feature a lethal combination of riffs, both killer and downright heavy, well-placed rhythm and groove changes, vicious drumming, driving bass lines, and some of the most charged, aggressive, and unhinged vocal performances. 4 of the bands are legendary heavy thrash metal pioneers, with a couple of more modern metal acts who have achieved legendary status over the last 25 to 30 years. All of these bands have more than put their stamp on metal thanks to their unique sounds, styles, and varying influences, which is why they all hold up to this day.
Agreed.
That's the introduction. First song on our list is by a band called Lamb of God. I think you've heard of them before. The name of the song is Reclamation. Reclamation?
Reclamation is the name of the song.
Let's check it out. Vincent has the lyrics.
All right, I do. Look at this. Look at this, huh? This is real. Look at that. It's real professionalism.
Ooh,
That's
okay.
real professionalism, huh?
Yes, I'll give you a raise now.
Yes, excellent, excellent. I got a raise. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, guys, here we go. Reclamation, Lamb of God. Let's do it. You should be talking in the background.
Yeah.
What an interesting video.
skyline is set ablaze with regret. Ashes cover a falling silhouette. The city will reap what it sowed. What ignite. Watching as the city burns tonight. Only after the last train's cut and the last rim of poison. Only after the last fix is caught will you find that money cannot be recovered. When everything becomes irrelevant, as the sky turns a wind, flowering down, the fourth world comes to an end. Watch the blinded like the match, feel the blood lines detach, crosshairs and ignite, until it watch the city burn to light. The city burns to light. Wow, wow, tonight. The city burns to light. The skyline is set ablaze with regret. Voices come a rumbling silhouette. The city will reap what it sows. What ignite. Watching as the city burns tonight.
Badass video. It's so different from what you would expect from a band like this. So it started with the water and the water. Dwayne says he's impressed with the song. It's interesting because he usually hates those kinds of vocals. Dwayne is coming to the dark side. Welcome,
Yep.
Dwayne. Welcome. Okay.
Jinx, we're both saying that at the same
It
time.
seems a bit apocalyptic.
Well,
Seems
yeah,
a bit
I'm gonna
apocalyptic.
write it.
This song right here.
Yeah, I appreciate it when bands will put out a song that talks like about nature. But this one, unless I misunderstood it, thanks, honey, kind of seemed like it's making it seem like that nature was here untouched by us, and then we came along and messed it up. And
Yeah.
It's gonna return back, almost like it has its own ontology, and it's gonna take over and get back what was once its.
Well, I think that's the point of the water, right? Because the narrative is that, you know, we came out of the primordial ooze, you know, billion years ago or whatever, and then, you know, got to land and slowly evolved, and then we ruined everything. Mm-hmm. So then nature itself is going to swallow us up, and then it ends back with water again. See what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
I was listening to a very, very interesting talk from Michael Levin.
Okay.
Hopefully.
What?
Okay. I was listening to a very interesting talk from Michael Levin, and he was talking about how the adaptations are easily explicable by evolution.
Okay.
You know, because you're trying to comport to whatever comports to life itself. Mm-hmm. But life itself as a principle cannot be explained by evolution, he said.
True.
And then the comment, well, which is something we always talk about, but the other thing that he talked about was the self-organization in order to do whatever promotes the most life is also a gigantic mystery. In other words, it makes logical sense. Yeah. It makes logical sense to adapt and all these things to stay alive. But why? And then he said something really interesting. He said, when you talk about like one person, what do you mean? Because every person is a collection of all these cells, and the cells have to cooperate. And then inside the cells, there's all these other smaller things that also have to cooperate in order to even have a hand.
Yeah.
So when you say this is one person, what are you talking about? And so he said, what is the organize? And it's funny because they decided on the term logos, which is obviously very interesting for our
purposes.
But he said, you know, what is the organizing principles that got all of these millions and millions and millions of cells to all march in the same direction? That cannot be explained by evolution.
Yeah.
Especially considering the fact that these cells have to cooperate for something as simple as a hand, right? And
plus
that was very, very fast. Go ahead.
The natural order of things is that it stuff goes to rot. Like, I don't, what's the phrase you
entropy,
use?
order to chaos. Yeah,
right. Order to chaos is the natural order that we see replicated over and over in the universe. So
yeah,
why
but
do they?
It's a distinction between an open and a closed system is the difference. So if you can overcome entropy in a closed system, I believe, and there is a sense in which Earth is a closed system. I do believe that's the argument. But Levy was saying something even different from entropy.
Okay.
He was saying the concept itself, that these things would organize themselves to promote life and cooperate at the level that they do. That initial principle of cooperation is not explained by evolution.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, you know, he was talking about how physicalists have a serious problem with that, but he was like, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, that's just a fact. We can figure out all the other stuff from there, but life itself and then the organizing principle, the initial organizing principle that motivates these cells to work with each other is a giant mystery.
Yeah.
It cannot be explained. So it's that is a very interesting idea. Humanity is a failed experiment. Walking the path to extinction, spinning its wheels endlessly, grease them with oil and uranium. Okay, when was this album written?
I will find out.
Where's your buddy?
ChatGPT?
Yeah, where's your buddy ChatGPT?
I was unprepared.
Give me the phone.
I was unprepared. I thought I was banned from using that.
Well, I just want to know when the record was written. When was Lamb of God's what year?
I'm trying to get it 2009.
2009. Okay.
I beat you to it.
So we were still head up in the GWAT. I'm pretty sure we were still in Iraq. So when he says grease them with oil and uranium, the major 2009. So the major narrative was that we were in Iraq for the oil.
Yeah.
And then uranium is the primary element you need for a nuclear bomb.
Okay.
So when he talks about extinction, he's saying you're basically going to grease the skids of extinction with oil and uranium. Because you go to war for oil, and then war escalates all the way up to a nuclear catastrophe, and then it's over with.
Yeah.
That's kind of the logic. Which I think a nuclear attack right now is a lot more probable than back in the day, you know, with the GWAT, because we were just so overwhelming that, you know, a nuclear attack made no sense. It's like, it's not like the Palestinians can nuke the Israelis.
Yeah.
But when you have India and Pakistan, like India just sent a bomb and bombed the shit out of Pakistanis, almost unprovoked. Can't say it's unprovoked because they've been beefing over the Kashmir Valley, and the Hindus and the Muslims have been going at it over there. So it's not unprovoked in the sense of like the historical beef, but and then you got Russia dealing with Ukraine, and Russia's a nuclear power, and then you had Putin basically saying, look, if the UN goes after us, we don't have the firepower to deal with y'all, we'll just nuke the shit out of you. So now it's like, then you got the Iranians and all this saber rattling with the Iranians, and so it's like, oddly enough, we're in a lot more danger of dealing with a nuclear situation now than when this record was written. Because unfortunately, I mean, I hate to say it, but all you're dealing with was the GWAT, and America is so powerful that a nuclear option just wasn't. And again, what is it? What is it? The tally gonna nuke us? You see what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's like, damn, like we're in a crazy situation. So it's even more relevant now. This is what you were talking about, where it talks about nature having its own ontology. The elements reclaim what was taken.
Yeah.
The skylight is set ablaze with regret.
I liked that
Ashes cover a falling silhouette. The city will reap what it's sown and ignite. Watching as the city burns tonight. Go ahead.
No, I mean, I just, the poetic nature of it. You know how I feel about regret and stuff. And the skyline is set ablaze with it. So it's, we shouldn't have done this. I wish we hadn't done that. Like, this is... I
thought that was an allusion to, you know, the flood, where it says, where God says he regrets creating man.
That's interesting.
And so it's kind of like a nature's against you, and so is the Almighty type of thing, right?
That's interesting.
But it could still account for nature, because in this context, nature gave us life, right? It's also interesting that he says, where does it say? The elements.
Oh, yeah.
The elements, so like at the elemental level.
Yeah.
You know, and in the Bible it says the elements will melt with fervent heat. Remember in 1 Peter, right? So he's talking about like the final conflagration, the end of the world. I don't really think he's talking about the end of the world. I think he's talking about the destruction of Jerusalem. But anyway, he says the elements will melt with fervent heat in their burning, or something like that. So it's. I always think to myself, like, anytime people want to point out, like, God being horrible, especially the Old Testament God, they point to the flood, like, look what God did, he flooded the world. Or they'll point to Sodom and Gomorrah, look what God did, he killed those poor Sodomites. But then, every metal band has at least 5 songs where it's talking about mankind is a festering parasite, relentlessly draining its host dry. Why is this okay, right? But God flooding the earth is not okay. Now Trump has his finger on the button. What time is it on the doomsday clock? I have no idea. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you. Biden didn't do much help in reversing the doomsday clock, especially with with what he did with the Israelis. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting. If I wasn't a Christian, I would be terrified of a nuclear holocaust.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I would be terrified. I don't believe that God is going to let the earth go out that way, obviously. But when you look at mankind and you're like, okay, we've got access to all this power, and all it takes is one. I mean, think about the odds. All it takes is one psycho. One psycho president, one psycho dictator, launching a nuclear attack. And like, if people don't believe in God, it's like, how do you explain the fact that we have nuclear technology and all of us are still around?
See, when we watched that movie, Oppenheimer or whatever his name was, and I realized during that they didn't know when they set it off whether or not that was going to ignite the atmosphere, and we were all going to go.
Yeah, it's going to be a chain reaction. That's one of the things that they were, you know, build that up a little. I don't think people know.
Well, I mean, from what I understood about it was when they set it off, that the explosion might actually ignite our atmosphere itself, and that it would just be a chain reaction and just
destroy the entire
planet
world.
would
Yeah.
just go up in flames,
Yeah.
basically. And when they set it off, they did not know if that wasn't going to happen. It was a gamble for them. But they had to know. Like, because we were not in a situation where things were that dire, where it was like, well, we either blow up the planet or this happens, you know? Like, they, I think they were curious. They wanted to know where their ingenuity brought them and whether or not we could do something with it. And so they gambled with all of our lives. And nobody was asked. Nobody's opinion was brought into it. Like, it was the most... Like,
yeah, it's like 50 people
made a decision for the entire planet. It was just so crazy to me.
But
when I heard that, I was like, oh. There's just like some things, like, you know, we have a lot of sons, right? And they like to climb trees in the woods. And when they're climbing up in the trees, I'm like, they're not even going that high. But I'm like, what if they fall and like that palm tree thing like jabs into them? Like, there's 100 things that could happen to them that could hurt them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't put bubble wrap around these children, but at the same time, like, you're concerned, you know? Then you just get to a point where you're like, okay, I'm going to do what I can to make sure that my kids are safe, but after that, it's in the hands of God. And if something happens to them, it's because God decided that was going to happen, because it's all in his hands. And that was sort of what happened when I heard what they did with that. I was like, oh, okay. So they can just randomly make a decision off of their own curiosity.
It's insane.
And all of us could have been incinerated in, I don't know how long that would have taken.
Yeah, some of it was human curiosity. Some of it was just plain old masculine competition. The Germans were over here racing for it. We were over here. We had a built-in excuse. And the built-in excuse was, I mean, we can't let the Germans get it.
That's so
You know what I'm saying?
up.
But
That's
like
so
by the time we actually launched that bomb, like, the Germans were pretty much donezo. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, it really illustrated in the movie, like what the song is saying. Like, it really illustrated the fact that human beings, not even for something like resources, which
That's
was
what
crazy.
I'm saying.
Like, if you look at Oppenheimer and the way that actor did such a good job, but the way that he was looking at the bomb, like he was like a proud parent.
It was like his firstborn was getting
It's like,
rolled
look
away.
at it go. You know what I'm saying?
Almost
it's
like
damn.
happy, but also sad, like that it was going.
Yeah, yeah. Serious question: was the Bible in the past or in the future tense? I know of the Old Testament, but does the Bible predict the future or what happened in the past? I would say both. Mm-hmm. I would say both. I think it's a very faithful record of what happened in the past. You know, a lot of people used to mock the global flood idea or hypothesis that's extrapolated in the Bible. But now it's very, very common for mainstream people to talk about, well, it's called catastrophism. Something catastrophic happened. And then it's like every ancient people group has a flood narrative or a flood myth. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them, without exception.
Mm-hmm. Which you would expect if there was
Sadat.
flood.
Right, right. And then there are some people that can't be convinced. It's like, oh, it's clearly bitten from all these other stories. But then it's like, if the Bible had the only flood story, they'd be like, oh, this global flood happened and nobody remembered. You see what I'm saying?
Yep, exactly.
But yeah, one thing I will say about this is, like, you guys know I listen to a whole bunch of weird shit, but they were talking about this last night, about how there was a dramatic uptick in UFO sightings after World War II. Mm-hmm. And the theory is because we started getting somebody's attention after we dropped the nuclear bomb. And a lot of the alien activity are in nuclear countries. Like, I think the UAP stuff is happening, UFOs happening all over the world, but I believe America has the most sightings, and we also have the most bombs. You know, there's published, like, oh, this country has this. We have the most. Mm-hmm. We have the. So it's like, how did we not destroy ourselves? Mm-hmm. And, you know, I've talked about this. I've talked about this before. This has been peer reviewed, like, believe it or don't believe it, but it's just factual that during the Cold War, our nuclear silos were they saw UAP or UFOs above our nuclear sites, and it activated nukes. And the Russians, so the UAP was over the Russians, it activated the nukes, and then ours were disabled. So both of us were experiencing UFO activity pretty much at the same time. The Russians got activated, pointed towards us. Ours got disabled. The Russians were furiously saying, we are not doing this, we're not doing this.
Yeah.
And the only reason we believed them is because we were dealing with the same situation.
Yeah.
Ours was disabled. And so it's like, if you think about the Cold War and how close we came to a nuclear winter, and I just believe that whatever, people are talking about with the UFOs, I mean, Roswell was pretty close to the site where Oppenheimer was operating. A lot of people don't know that. Because they built Oppenheimer like a secret little town, basically.
Yeah.
So yeah, crazy stuff. But shout out to Lamb of God. I think
sonically, I liked it. It started out sort of like a country sort of sound to it, and then it took off, went a bunch of different places. I liked it. It was heavy. It gave you, like, there was a whole vibe to it, and then when you got to the end of it, the end sounded like the beginning, and so it kind of went with the theme of
we're going back to the original. Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
9.8 for me.
And the last thing I'll say, it's really interesting in Christian theology. God wants man to explore and compete to exercise dominion over the earth.
Yep.
And so there's a sense in which if God is real and the God of the Bible is real, when he sent us off into the world to exercise dominion, he had to have known that impulse was going to be there. And then when you combine that impulse with our sinful nature, you're going to get a nuclear situation. That's inevitable. So like, even aside from God's omniscience, you could just do the math and say, sinful person exercising dominion, they're going to destroy themselves. And I think that's one of the reasons I don't trust in aliens. I don't think that they're aliens per se. I think that what we call angels, I mean, we have vehicles in the Bible. Ezekiel 1 with the wheel within the wheel, and the thing's got eyes all over it, and then it moves because of psionics. Psionics is basically being able to control a large device with your mind. And
it said that it moves whichever way that the spirit wills, or something like that.
Right. So that's an example of psionic sort of psychokinetic activity, or whatever they call it. So like, I think God deployed angels over both of those sites to say, hey, you guys are not in control of this. We could shut you down, or we could start this up. How about you guys stop playing around with this stuff? But anyway, what do you rate it?
9.8.
I'm gonna give this one a solid 9.5, dear listeners. Solid 9.5. That one a little long, but that's okay. I believe the earth had a great flood. I'm more concerned about the future predicted in Revelations. God is real. Yeah, I think we don't have to be afraid about the future that was predicted in Revelation, because I think that the vast majority of the future that was predicted in Revelation happened about 5 years after it was written. That's what I believe. So we don't have to worry much about the future. Revelation wasn't written to terrify us. Revelation was actually written to comfort and embolden us. And I think any reading of that book that doesn't come away with that is probably a misreading, but that's the way all of us have been taught about the book.
Yeah, okay. Wars of the Jews might be something, I don't know how much you like to study, but Wars of the Jews is it's a historical account of what happened in 70 AD in Jerusalem, and when you hear that information, like, it's not a well, it was written by Josephus, right?
Yeah, we got to do something.
Yeah, it was written by Josephus, and he's a Roman historian, so he has no stake in the game to word stuff.
Validate Christian ideas. Yeah.
Right. But when you hear the stuff that went down, it is wild and it is fascinating to hear. I mean, it's tragic, obviously, but there's some really crazy things that happen that correlate with Revelation, and it kind of takes some of the mystery away of the stuff in Revelation, as well as the stuff in
WARS. We're probably gonna do
wars, like
we'll
a war.
Probably
Wars
experiment.
of the Jews.
We'll probably experiment with Wars of the Jews.
Yeah, that would be like a really fascinating.
We could probably experiment somehow with it, but we'll see.
Okay.
Okay.
That was song number 1. Yep, I'll take the timestamp.
46:30.
4630.
4630.
My computer's bogging down. Here we go.
Okay, so that do 4650. Okay, song numero dos. Song numero dos is by a band named Machine
Head. Clenching the Fists of Dissent. Let's see what our DJ has to say. DJ Nick says the opening track on Machine Head's 6th studio album, The Blackening. Clenching.
I gotta be the blackening.
Clenching the Fists of Dissent is a politically charged 10.5-minute tour de force led by one of Rob Finn's angriest and motivating vocal performances, featuring blistering solos, headbanging grooves, unrelenting drumming, and well-crafted, straight-to-the-point lyrics that is arguably Machine Head at their best.
This guy should be.
I know.
You should promote these bands. I got so many band promoters in our email. You guys need DJ Nick for real, for real. Hire the man. All right, here we go. Machine Head, Clenching the Fist of Dissent. Let's do it. Sounds like Doom. Right? Does it sound like Doom a little bit? Doom? It's too far.
I like this.
What did he say?
I don't know.
Sounded like you said crow.
War?
What year, Nick? What year?
Let's
Okay. That, dear listener, is why you should be very, very, very worried when the government starts encroaching on people's free speech, no matter how that speech is manifest. The fact of the matter is, our government right now is encroaching on people's free speech, and encroaching also means having a chilling effect on people's right to free speech. And that is actually happening. And you could say what you want about America, but that is a very cool invention. The First Amendment is a very, very cool invention to codify the idea that a government could codify into the law that you could shit talk the government.
Yeah.
We've spread a lot of badness in the world. I'll be the first to tell you, but that is a good idea.
When we were part of Britain,
Yeah.
were we allowed to do that, or
No.
Yeah,
No. Are you kidding me?
that's why they were like, okay.
Treason? King George? That'd be the end of your head, boy. I mean, you still don't have free speech. Like, you don't have free speech in Canada.
You don't have free speech on YouTube.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a very precious right that we have, because at the end of the day, speech control is thought control.
Yeah.
And so, like, the ability to protest is, I think, something very, very awesome about American culture. And whether or not we could stay faithful to that principle, I agree, is a different story. But we should not only appreciate, because, you know, like, you get something like what happened with Kanye yesterday. You know, where he drops that song. And it's like, people like, he's testing the bounds of free speech. He's a genius. It's like, I get it. Like, I get it. But to be honest with you, it seems to me, and he said it in the song, like, I can't see my kids, so I'm angry. And so now he's just lashing out at everybody. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, okay, fine, you have free speech, but that's not really the goal of free speech. The goal of free speech is songs like this.
Yeah.
It's for regular citizenry who don't have any power.
Yeah.
And that's why you have that's why, like, the amendments flow into each other, like the right of assembly. And that's important because speech can get people to assemble, right? And then now you've got more speech and you've got more voices. And then the other thing that really makes me nervous about the crackdown on free speech is, notice how he says we're going to fight, you know, the bullets are our words.
Yep.
Right? He basically said, he made it explicit, like, we're going to have a revolution and we're going to fight without guns and all the rest of it. And it's like, you can do that if you believe that you can make an argument in the public square such that you could influence everybody around you to think a certain way, speak a certain way, and then vote a certain way. You can make change without having to kill folks. But if you take speech away from people and you get a group of people who feel like stuff needs to change, But they no longer have that confidence that, hey, all I got to do is go to the middle of public square, make my case, and most decent people are going to agree with me. That's when people start turning into violent people.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing about America is right after the First Amendment is the Second Amendment, which is the right to keep and bear arms. And as your Republican friends will tell you,
The great influencer.
the entire reason for the Second Amendment is to secure the First Amendment.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, when you have a country full of people who've been told that free speech is their birthright and the ability to criticize their government is their birthright, and you take it from them, but then they have more guns than they have people. Like, no disrespect, this is not Europe. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not going to say European people are more compliant than American people. It's just that European people were not taught that their forefathers gained their independence by murdering all the police, and and that every state is their own little separate country, and you can give the middle finger to the federal government because your state is supposed to take precedence over your, like, the lesser magistrate doctrines and all that stuff. Like, Europeans are not socialized; they're not taught that way. So now you've got this country
Are
flooded.
they able to have guns over there?
Not really.
Yeah.
But they don't have
over
as many.
Here, like, you'll be scrolling Facebook and then there's a family putting a gun in the hands of their 3-year-old.
Yeah.
Everybody's posing, like,
Yeah.
it is different.
It's a lot different, and we've already crossed that event horizons relative to guns. Like, it's just not going to happen. And so it's like, obviously, a practical solution to the gun problem in America is psychiatric help. But the same people that are saying it's not a gun problem, it's a mental health issue, don't want to give us vouchers so that everybody can get free mental health.
I seriously think that should be a course in school. I think from the time, like, that was another thing when I was talking about the Dutch children and how they're happier. There's a lot of focus on, like, balance and, like, mental health and stuff like that. And I think that if kids were taught from a very small age how to manage their emotions, how to help somebody else who isn't able to manage their emotions, how to talk people off a ledge, how to de-escalate, all of those things, like, the things that are like, this is for the survival of humanity, those things should absolutely be taught in school, especially because there's a lot of adults that don't even know how to do that. I mean, you see people, the whole idea of a Karen is somebody who believes they have some entitlement to a situation, and they just go off with zero self-control on a situation. So, the fact that, like, there's a whole, like, group of people that are like that the rest of us kind of, like, look and laugh at a little bit, like, we have a problem. Like, yeah, it is funny, but at the same time, like, that woman is that old and she doesn't know how to manage her emotions? Like, are you serious?
Yeah, but I like the way that it's explicated here, because to Nick's point, there's not a lot of lyrics to really break down because it's almost like a monologue. But I like how he basically said toward the end, like, I don't have all the answers, I might let you down. But that's a cool thing about democracy, is that we don't need to rely on a single person in the system. Like, the system does not require a single, leader to get us to the promised land.
Yeah.
It challenges everybody to get after it and to be a part of the solution. And we don't really have an excuse not to say something. Another course in school should be true American history. Yeah, I think that if we could, I think it's important because it will help people understand the imperialistic sort of motivations of our country. And so the ability, I think our kids' generation is going to be a lot less easy. Like, freedom fries, like all that shit that happened with the Bush administration after 9/11 with freedom fries and all that shit.
What?
You don't remember freedom fries?
No.
France was critical of us invading Iraq.
Okay.
And so, because they were critical of us invading Iraq, Bush started talking about freedom fries instead of French fries. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
So you're replacing
Instead of
French
saying
with freedom.
Yeah.
Right. Which is ridiculous. I mean, it's so childish. It's like the Crips. You know what I'm saying? Like they you know, like I remember.
I don't understand what that's supposed to accomplish.
I remember we used to say, you know, before we'd leave each other in New York, we used to say, "All right, be safe." That's how we'd say goodbye to each other. And the Crips used to say, "All right, see safe," because they didn't want to say "be safe" because the blood start with B. You see what I'm saying? It's just like this real child.
Yeah, but so does blue. Starts with B, and that was their color.
Yeah, just leave it. You want to tell them that. But like, that's what freedom fries reminded me of. It was like, we're not going to say French fries.
Yeah.
We're going to say freedom fries.
Yeah.
Because we're against, you know, whatever. In response, the French renamed American cheese to idiot cheese.
No, he's joking, right?
I don't know. I don't know. He could be right. He could be. Look, this is negative vibes. He wouldn't lie to us. Negative vibes would never lie to us. Yeah, so it's like, I don't think you're going to be able to do that to Gen Z. I don't think, like, if you know, Trump or somebody came out and started talking about freedom fries or whatever, he would get skewered by Gen Z. Gen Z would laugh at him and say, "What are we doing here?"
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So like, this generation of kids, like, I don't think that they'll be so easy to influence like the way that we were influenced. See what I'm saying? So I think that that's good. I think that thankfully, all this shit was caught on camera. You know, like when we were coming up, the big war was Vietnam, and we didn't really know a lot about Vietnam, and there wasn't really a big record, like, historically of what was going on. And our motivations for Vietnam, like, if you ask the average person back in, like, 1996, like, the average teenager, why were we in Vietnam? I don't think they'd be able to tell you. So, like, now you got kids that are really, I don't want to say more intelligent, but they're more dialed in. They understand what a proxy war is. They understand that our country they're a lot more cynical about the motivations of our country. The other side of that, though, is I don't think they're probably as loyal to America as an idea as we were. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, you had people that were like,
Something lost, something gained when the...
Yeah, and really the GWAT changed a lot for everybody. You know, you have a 20-year war, and the narrative was, well, this guy attacked our country, and then we killed him in 2012. It's like, okay, so why are we still over there?
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know, man. Like, it's a mixed bag. It's a mixed bag because I do think the response of young men after 9/11 is the mark of a somewhat healthy country and a somewhat healthy understanding of patriotism. I don't think that if you're an able-bodied male and your country gets attacked to that degree, there should be some impulse. There should be some impulse to hurt people. The older generation needs to say, okay, keep your head. This is what we're going to do, X, Y, Z. But there ought to be an impulse to hurt people if they do that to your country, which we had. I'm not sure if 9/11 happened today, that there would be that sort of how dare they type of energy from Generation Z. Like, I don't see that happening.
Interesting. Okay.
And I'm
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so.
Why? Like what you just described?
Yeah,
Like
they're a
not
lot
as
more
patriotic?
they're a lot more cynical. And they also have, I mean, we have Bush on camera. I mean, we have all these things on video where they can watch what happened, they can watch how the narratives were framed.
Oh.
And then the
yeah,
other side of
okay.
that is when dudes came back from the Vietnam War, they were spit at, all the rest of it, and they were basically like ostracized from society.
Yeah.
The dudes that came back from the GWAT all have YouTube channels now. So you could see Sean Ryan talking to an operator and saying, "Were we the bad guys?" And like 90% of them are like, "Of course we were bad." Like there's one dude in the Marine, and he was like, "Look, man, I didn't care whether or not we were the bad guys. I just wanted to get busy and test myself. That's all. And there's a lot of people like that. They just want to fight." And so it's like, these young people, if you're inclined that way, because I remember, like, right before 9/11 happened, I was obsessed with the Army Rangers, obsessed with them. I was watching what they did in World War II. I was like, oh my God, I want to be an Army Ranger, blah, blah, blah. And then 9/11 happened. you know. And then when I went to take the ASVAB, the girl was like, yo, you're way too intelligent to be, you know, whatever. And I was like, I want to kill motherfuckers. They're like, no, hey, what have you thought about this? Mm-hmm. But, like, I don't really see that happening right now in the modern, with a Gen Zer. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I just don't see them being, and I think that that's good and that's bad. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I think, but it would be great. But my point is, so now these young people can see these veterans coming back from war saying that this was bullshit. We were lied to. Our government lied. I lost my friends. You know, this is a pretty heartbreaking one. The Dev Group guy, when he talked about killing that 8-year-old boy. And he broke down and, you know, he almost killed himself because of that whole situation. And, like, so, like, the mystique of war, and I wanted to test myself and all that.
Yeah.
We get to actually talk. We get to see these people in a raw moment. Mm-hmm. Whereas the guys that came back from Vietnam were basically shoved to the side.
Alone.
You know, alone. So,
Yep. And
so it's a mixed bag, I think.
Don't you think that, like, I know that, you know, you say that men are not able to share their emotions, but don't you think that there's more of a space for male emotions now than there was when the time of the guys coming back from Vietnam?
I agree. I agree with that. Yeah, there are literally people saying that there were no airplanes during 9/11. I mean,
Okay.
I was in Manhattan 6 months after 9/11. My brother was getting married. He took everybody in my family went to go to the actual ground zero. I wouldn't go. I refused to go.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like something you'd...
I didn't go. And my brother said, "What are you afraid of?" And I'm like, it was such an interesting question to me, but I was furious. You know, I was like so angry. But I remember, like, I'm like, nah. I went to 42nd instead to go hang out, and you could still smell, like, it was like battery acid. It was so hard to explain, like, that smell. I'll never forget that smell. It was like battery acid. And I was at fucking 42nd Street. It was just like a weird tinge in the air, you know? And I'm like, damn.
That is so bad.
So, like, weirdos, oh, yeah, like, carcinogenic like a motherfucker. The people that went, like, the firefighters and all the people that, like, did the cleanup and shit like that. Like, I knew people that did cleanup. People, like, were picking up people's body parts and shit in the cleanup, like. So, like, you got people saying there were no planes, all the rest of it. I'm like, what are you talking about, bruh? Like, what are you talking about? Like, there's enough, conspiratorially speaking, where you could say it was an inside job, sure. But, like, to say the planes didn't... Oh, okay. It's ridiculous. Oh, you saw a hologram. Yeah. I guess I smelt all that shit, too, and all the rest. I guess my aunt also saw a hologram because she fucking died in the towers when that happened, you know? So, I get it, you know, people, that was the height of conspiracyism, and we had just started figuring out, like, things like YouTube and things like that, where you could disseminate all kinds of false information without any real checks and balances. I get it. Anyway, I appreciate the song. I appreciate the United States of America. Long live America. I'm going to give this one a solid 9.
I like this one more than the other one, I think. 9.8.
You liked it that much?
I did, yeah.
Alrighty then, dear listener. She is gonna go whatever. I'm gonna do a quick Ask Me Anything, or maybe I'll just talk about 9/11. Yeah, that was a crazy time. Yeah, I never went down there. I never went down there to see that shit. Like, to go to actual ground zero. Like, I just couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I was so... Like, to this day, I'm angry about it. I'm angry that anybody had the nerve to do that to my folks, man. It's just crazy. And I didn't find out about my aunt until years later, because we're not a close-knit family, so... It wasn't just, oh, they did this shit to my aunt. Like, it was just some real live America shit. You know? I get explosions and rig construction, but no, yeah. I mean, like I said, there was some weird shit. Building 7, some weird shit. People have the right to believe in, you know, that weird shit happened. But, like, to get super meta like that and say the planes didn't happen, it was a hologram, all the rest of it, like, come on, man. Come on, bro. Ridiculous. I think, like, also, I don't think I've ever heard anybody that's, like, from New York ever even come close to believing in that nonsense because, like, folks were there. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, talk about a black day, man. Talk about a black day in American history. Changed everything forever. Certainly changed, I don't know. Then you don't find out till later, like, all the reasons that 9/11 happened, if you're going to go with the current narrative of why 9/11 happened. And I don't care what the reasons are. I would kill bin Laden myself in his sleep. I don't care what the reasons are. No matter what I believe, I would kill that man in his sleep. I'd kill him in front of his children, whatever. Honestly. But if I was him, I probably would have done the same thing. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, it's very hard to... The problem for me is like the fact that it doesn't appear to me that we've learned our lesson from 9/11, and that's my problem. The stuff about jet fuel combustion temperature is real dumb too. Yeah, the thing about these conspiracy theories, especially like during the like early days of YouTube, is that you would have people say shit with like utmost confidence, and then it was like, well, they said it, so, and then people would just slavishly believe it. I'm like, just because they went on YouTube does not mean that that they're right. Just because they're on, it's like Chat GPT now. I mean, people don't realize you can get Chat GPT to say a lot of shit. All right, guys, here we go. Here we go. Why call it a black day? Should have been called a white day. Yeah, I guess. A lot of people saw the light that day.
Uh-oh.
All right, guys. Here we go. Song numero 3. This man said Osama bin Laden. Osama bin Laden is a real jerk. I agree with you, Joe. I agree.
All right. Exodus is up next.
Surprised Joe didn't go, what's your problem, man? What's your problem? Isn't that what he said to Trump during the debate? Hey, what's your problem, man?
Yeah.
Shout out to Joe Biden, man. I wish he didn't, you know? I wish his mind was still here, you know? Shout out to Joe Biden. Yeah, I just think it's sad.
It is sad. But he did some evil stuff with that mind of his.
Everybody did evil shit with their mind at that position, you know?
All right. Exodus, the Atrocity Exhibition. To make that a 30. All right. So this is song number 3 on our DJ stream tonight. DJ Nick is up. Let's see what he has to say. Oh. There's nothing to say. Get right into it.
Oh, he didn't have an intro for this one?
Nope.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Here's the title track, dear listener. Exodus is the name of the band. I think, is this the band that Kirk Hammett was originally in? I'm not sure. But I feel like that was a name of one of Kirk Hammett's bands or something like that. I don't know. All right. Exodus is the name of the band. We're at
the Atrocity Exhibition.
12030.
I got it.
All right, the Atrocity Exhibition, Exodus. Let's do it. I'm offended. Is this a conveyor belt riff?
You speak to the sky, and no one answers back. And yet you wager the word of God is fact. The horrors we imagine in vivid clarity become a spectacle, your God's atrocities. A mirror image, reflection of your soul. Just figures play, or children have a role. God's an actor, the world nature stage. Our fate is scripted like so many letters on a page. A composition of atrocity.
Pantera kind of riff right here.
The story of Christianity. A fairy tale of tyranny. Recipe for catastrophe.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. that sounded kind of slipped. Now, what year was this one, Nick? What year was this one? All right. Go ahead.
Well, you know how those things go for me. I don't like being pushed down conveyor belts. This one was a mix because it was like part of it felt like it was like that like rushy fastness to it that I don't like, but there were elements that I do like, but I don't like that screechy noise that was at the very end when it was going out. I was like, stop, yo. No. Anyway, and obviously, lyrically, I gotta disagree with the homie.
Is there anything you agreed with?
You mean lyrically?
Yeah.
Well, to be honest with you, I didn't see anything that I agreed with, but I did not see all of the lyrics, so I'm sure there's something that I agree with. Well, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure. Okay, let's see.
I mean, I do think that it can't be denied that all throughout Christian history there have been atrocities. I think that, you know, you could say from a human perspective, the Muslims, especially initially, definitely provoked the Crusades, but the shit that was done on the way and on the way back and to Muslim civilians was atrocious, and the atrocity of Muslims does not validate the atrocity of Christians, which is something that really bugs me a lot. It's like people say, oh, Christians committed we're Christians. They'll say Christians committed atrocities. We'll be like, when did that happen? Like, oh, the Crusades. And it's like, well, the Muslims did this. It's like when people bring up, hey, you know, the Catholic priests in the Catholic Church, you know, molesting kids and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And people will say, well, our numbers are lower than a football coach or whatever. And it's like, yeah. But the football coach, like the institution of footballery in America, is not claiming to have any sort of spiritual power to direct your life and to influence your eternal position.
Yeah, exactly. Not just your life, but your eternal,
Right, so like, I think that's, I mean, people usually call that a miscarriage of justice or whatever, but I still think that you could definitely call that an atrocity, that you have kids who are being, I mean, God bless him, like the new Pope, he's an American and all the rest of it, but Larry pointed out that he was also involved in that shit. Not that he did it, but that he was moving people around and shit. And it's like,
how is this happening?
And you know, the other guy, Francis, who's probably going to get sainted at some point, he did the same thing. So it's like, this is not like some average weird. These are people like literally at the highest forms of power that have done this. So like, I wasn't there for the Crusades, you know, whatever, but I don't think that can be denied. And even, you know, I'm bringing up the Catholic Church because that's in everybody's mind right now because of the new Pope, but even like in evangelicalism, it's still inordinately, you know, it's still there. And I wouldn't have a problem so much if it was there, but that we attacked it when it happened. But we're also protecting these weirdos. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's like, when he's talking about like atrocities done in the name of religion and things like that, or war done in the name of religion, things like that, especially as a Christian, like I want to feel that. And the other thing too about that is like, people always say, well, why don't they ever go after the Muslims and you know, whatever. And I'm kind of happy that those criticisms are levied at us, because at some level it means that we're being held to like a higher standard.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
it's one of those like, you know, soft prejudice of low expectations thing where people are like, well, the Muslims are just going to do what they're going to do, but you Christians, you know? And the other thing too is like, America and the Western world is not dominated by Islam. We're not dominated by Islamic imagery. and you can see this because if you go to Dearborn, Michigan, that is a slice of America that's dominated by Islamic imagery, and it's called Dearbornistan. And what Christians don't realize is that the way that you're looking at Dearborn, Michigan is the way that secularists and atheists look at the country. Because we go through these cycles. You go through Christmas. You go through Easter. And, you know, you have all these religious... You have this religious iconography everywhere. Mm-hmm. And it's almost exclusively Christian religious iconography. Mm-hmm. So it's like, why would they criticize Hinduism? Like, Hinduism, I think, is a terrible religion at some parts because the caste system is horrible.
Oh, yeah.
Horrible. And you've also got... I mean, I had a friend who... I mean, there's temple prostitution there, like little kids, man. Like, it's fucking horrible. Oh. But...
Thanks, Amy.
That is not the dominant religion and iconography in the Western world, and certainly not in America. So, like, when people almost exclusively go after Christians... I don't understand how you could, you know, like how we can't be upset about that. Mm-hmm. Like, you can't say that you're God's representatives on the earth to bring everybody into the family, and then when people go, well, you guys have done a fucking horrible job, we don't get to go, well, what about your football coach? What? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, are we or aren't we? We can't have our cake and eat it too. So from that perspective, you know, I respect it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that a lot of it comes down to, well, maybe it has to do with piety, but it could be fear that people are like, well, we don't want all of our problems out there that we've done these things because we represent someone. I don't think that it's the right approach. I don't think that we should hide the things that we've done. I mean, that's more destructive. I think it's better, like, when we first started the channel and somebody brought up the Crusades, anytime the Crusades got brought up, I had only ever seen people say, well, that was the Catholics, that wasn't us. Or that was the, you know what I mean? So it was, you know, the differentiation there. Yeah. But you embraced it. I was like, well, hold on, what are we doing here? And then I saw the utility in it after a little bit because it was like, well, yeah, I mean, what are we doing?
Yeah, unless we're going to say that none of the Catholics are Christians, all, you know, billion Catholics on the planet are not Christians. Like, I'm not that Protestant anymore, to be honest with you. I always saw that as like a cop-out, like a giant cop-out. Like, it's like, come on, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, what are we talking about here? You know, like, you don't get to claim Michelangelo and all these other people. You know, you don't get to claim all these beautiful, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. That those are all Catholic. Ridiculous. Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say, though, there are some things that this brother did not think through as he was writing, which is kind of interesting to me. So he says, nature is our master. We serve her through her deeds. She teaches us that only death is guaranteed. Right? Mm-hmm. And then he starts talking about, you know, walk with me and let me introduce you to your God, which is either nature or death, or maybe both.
Oh, I thought it was, you're going to die, and so I'm going to introduce you to your God.
No, he doesn't believe God exists. That's just a fairy tale, according to him. So it says, come and see an exhibition of atrocity, which is talking about the long history of Christian, you know, religious atrocities.
Yeah.
One in which the shore you'll never see, or your God of make-believe. There it is. Mm-hmm. So God doesn't exist. It's just a God of make-believe. He's not real. Okay. You speak to the sky and no one answers back. And yet you wager that the word of God is fact. The horrors we imagine in vivid clarity become a spectacle, your God's atrocities. Here is my question. If you say there is no God, then anything that is happening is nature acting upon nature. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. So there's no God. So we use terms like atrocity to differentiate degrees of evil. Mm-hmm. Like this is one of the reasons why, like, if people say, am I evil? I'll say yes. But I don't like to use that in general. I'll talk about original sin, or I'll talk about our propensity towards selfishness.
Yeah.
Because people are more likely to go, okay, I can rock with that. Because we understand theologically what evil is, but we use terms in language on the ground level to differentiate between things because we realize that lots of things are on a spectrum. Right? Like you can't be partially pregnant. You either are or you're not. But badness and evil does function on a spectrum. You even see this in Jesus's words where he talks about the weightier matters of the law. So the term atrocity is sort of an evil that is massively evil and is almost evil for the sake of evil itself, and usually to a group of people. Why are you upset about that? Since there's no God, and all we are at this level then is nature acting upon nature. Like if a star goes into heat death and explodes and incinerates everything within 18 trillion miles around it,
Was that evil?
you would not say that the star committed an atrocity. You would say, I mean, nature. It combusted. Here's the elements, and this is what happened. So why are you assigning moral value to human agents as if there's some mechanism inside of the human somewhere that makes him responsible to act above nature? So like terms like atrocity and things like that make so much sense from a Christian worldview if there's a God and there's an objective moral standard, and we are more than just animals.
Yeah.
But if all we are is nature acting upon nature, then it makes no sense to even use terms like atrocity. So the thing that he's complaining about gets eliminated the minute that he says that God is just make-believe. So that's the only thing where it's like, that's one of the reasons why these things like this don't really offend me, because it's like there's no ground to logically stand on in order to make the argument. I am not saying that atheists or secular people or people who don't believe in God cannot have morals. That is not the argument. The argument is you have no philosophical grounding for those morals, because all we are is nature. So if I do something good for a 5-year-old or if I brutally murder the 5-year-old, both instances are simply, they, in an objective sense, have the exact same moral value of nature acting upon nature. The best you could do is say, well, we're subjectivizing these two events in a different way, and that's fine, but at the objective level, that's what you have to say. So the argument here is kind of like you're saying that God doesn't exist, but the only way for the argument to have true force is to assume that God exists.
Exactly.
Right? Or to assume some sort of moral realism, which is, I think, is just impossible to establish from a non-theistic perspective. So that is the reason why I'm like, bro, I get it. It makes a lot of sense to complain about, but at the same time, the very fact that you're upset about atrocity tells me that there's a lot of internal cognitive dissonance about the first premise, which is to say that there's nobody up in the sky, and that there's no God, and that Mother Nature and death is all that there is. Like, it's hard for me to believe that you believe that completely if after saying that you then complain about atrocities as if there's some sort of realistic moral stance in the universe. The story of
the other thing too was when he talks about right there on your God to make believe, you speak to the sky and no one answers back, and yet you wager the word of God as fact. That's an assumption that he's making about other people's experiences.
Correct.
And which to me says, wait, well, that hasn't been my experience, but maybe that's been his experience, and then he's universalizing his experience for us.
And I don't even believe that that's his experience either.
Or that's his...
I believe that God can answer people, but people don't recognize it as God answering people. Right? Like, as I said, in the other one where we're talking about, we had quote-unquote UFOs hanging over nuclear silos, and we got out of the 60s and we got out of the Cold War without a nuclear holocaust. And so it's like, okay, If you think that humanity was able to get to that level and we negotiate ourselves out of destruction, cool. But you don't know that God hasn't answered you. I'm just thinking like at a scientific level, right? One of the things that I love about Don Hoffman is to say, whenever you have a hypothesis, it is not your job to prove it. It's your job to disprove it. It's like, oh, whenever you have a hypothesis, it's not your job to prove it. It's your job to disprove it. And by the time you get around your friends and your knowledgeable people and all the rest of it, and they can't really mount a good argument about it, then you can start theorizing and all the rest of it. Then you can start really getting somewhere. And so, like, one of the things that's fascinating to me is, like, people get skeptical. They're skeptical about everything relative to God, but they're not skeptical about their own foundational beliefs. I had a guy tell me that the brain generates consciousness. I said, where is that? It's been 4 days, and it will be 400 days because that man won't be able to do that. There's so many things that people who are secularists take on faith.
Yeah.
That they don't understand, like, they don't understand, like, what they... It's really interesting to me, like, you question the moon landing. And, like, people are like, come on, sorry. And it's like, no, wait a second. If we applied to skepticism, and if we... Was it the Dawkins extraordinary claims that require extraordinary evidence? Like, none of us have ever seen a person go up to the moon. So that's an extraordinary claim. So where's the extraordinary evidence? Well, we saw it on TV. Well... I also saw the Avengers on TV. I also saw Thanos do this on TV. So it's like, but then you'll mock somebody for not believing in the moon landing. And why? You don't believe in the moon landing because you saw it replayed on TV. You believe in the moon landing because your authority structure told you to believe in the moon landing. Your authority structure told you that it was real and told you that it was true, so you believe it. You do not believe in evolution by natural selection because you have studied the topic and you know it inside and out. Most secularists I talk to about natural selection have no idea how it works. So it's like, people have to understand, like, all of us at the end of the day are operating by faith, especially at the presuppositional level. And I think one of the ways to find out whether or not your presuppositions are justified is if you can stay consistent with it in a circle. Because at the end of the day, all reasoning is circular. But if your circle can remain true to itself, then you're in decent shape. You're on the way. So, for example, you start off at the top here. It says there is no God, but then you complain about atrocities. Okay, well, that circle doesn't work, right? So,
Yep.
I think the song is. This is the other one: a composition of atrocity, the story of Christianity, a fairy tale of tyranny. What they don't understand about tyranny is that what worldview got us the idea that tyranny is bad. Go read Plato's Republic. He didn't believe in, like, complete democracy where everybody got a say and all the rest. He didn't believe in that. Even though he wrote the Republic, it wasn't the Republic in a democratic republic in the way that we imagine it. The Magna Carta and the Constitution of the United States were both written and motivated by Christian ideology. Those are facts. And it starts with the idea that all human beings are equal in value, and that is a uniquely Christian idea. So, once again, when you talk about tyranny, you're acting as if tyranny is a bad thing. And you say, why is tyranny bad? And it's like, well, you're enforcing your will upon another person's agency. Well, why is that bad? Well, because you don't have the right to do that. Well, where did rights come from? And why don't I have the right to do that? Ultimately, you say, because all of us are equal. You say, well, why do you think all of us are equal? You go, well, I'm an American. I agree with you. But you have the idea of equality from America from a Christian worldview.
Yep.
I'm not even saying the people that wrote the Constitution were Christians. You don't have to be a Christian to have a Christian worldview. There's a lot of secular people. Even Dawkins said that he was a cultural Christian or whatever. It doesn't mean,
really?
Yeah. But what they're saying is basic Christian assumptions are good for the world, right? The assumption that people are equal is good for the world, defining good in whatever way that you can as a person who doesn't believe. So I think that there are good parts about this that you cannot deny as a Christian, and that if you deny them as a Christian, you're denying them because you're probably a little bit insecure about your faith because you can't handle any sort of real direct criticism. Mm-hmm. But I also think that the criticisms of this worldview are pretty evident and apparent, and if you can't handle that without getting mega defensive, then it probably means that your unbelief is not as sturdy as you think it is. So people's faith is not as sturdy as they think it is, and people's unbelief is not as sturdy as they think it is either. Yes, if you prove a hypothesis, it becomes scientific theory or law. Yep. And that's what Hoffman was saying, is like, your job, you come up with a hypothesis, you think it's cool. What happens with a lot of us now is that you come up with a hypothesis. He was talking about at the scientific, like, peer review level, is that these people become married to their hypothesis. Yeah. And then they get angry at the people poking holes in it. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no, your job is to poke holes in it. And then once you can't find any more holes in your hypothesis, then you go to your friends. And that's the point of peer review. Peer review is like, hey, I can't see any holes. I'm obviously blind. Where are you with this? Mm-hmm. Like that's the idea. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give it a 9.3 for the effort.
8.9 for me.
Why'd you laugh?
For the effort.
I think you gotta give it to it for the effort, bro. Give it to it for the effort. What's wrong with you? Okay, guys, more metal where that came from. The next song is...
I'm not sure if my computer's starting up yet. It's been having trouble.
It's been having trouble?
Yeah, maybe actually just pass me my phone.
Yeah, it looks like that thing is not charging very well.
Yeah, I moved it because I think it was in the wrong port over there. So I've got it in a good one now. And I deleted extra videos, emptied the trash.
I think that your super secret charger thing is not as cool as you thought it was.
No, it's that one of those outlets on that thing don't work.
9.5 says Nicholas.
Okay.
DJ Nick gives it a 9.5. So we did that. We did that.
Now.
What's next?
What's next? He gave it a 9.5?
Yeah, Nick gave it a 9.5. We just did Exodus.
All right, so
Megadeth?
Exodus we just did. Now we're doing Megadeth with a really creepy picture. Interesting. Megadeth. All right, let's see what he has to say. He does not say anything. All right, well, the name of the song is When.
That's the name of the song? Yep. Okay, When by the band Megadeth. What you know about that? Is it a lyric video?
I don't know.
It's not. Okay, When by the band Megadeth. You might have heard of them. You might have heard of Megadeth. Mm-hmm. You might have heard of them. All right, guys, here we are.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Megadeth. When? 154.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, you got it already? Mm-hmm. Good job. Hey, there's an intro. There's an intro.
Yep. It's probably on. He probably put it after I copied and moved the list. I'll just go to his board. Hold on.
Can't you just click it on the thing? I see what
yeah, I'm just going to go to his board.
I should have put it up.
Okay. Let's see.
Megadeth.
Oh, there it is. Okay. Megadeth. When? When is the closing track on Megadeth's 9th album, The World Needs a Hero, released in May of 2001. Dave Mustaine co-wrote the song with Diamond Head guitarist Brian Tatler, and this song musically is partially a tribute to Diamond Head's Am I Evil? Mustaine also uses the same intro riff he wrote for Metallica's instrumental Call of Cthulhu. Lyrically, Mustaine has said that this song is a big F you to all the wishy-washy fans who called him and the band sellouts and spoke ill of him. And the band for trying to be more commercially successful. Okay.
Oh, gosh,
Shout
Dwayne.
out to the man.
Shout out to Dwayne. I'll give you something for that. I'm not going to post that, Dwayne, because we love everybody, but that was a very good play on words. We'll just leave it at that. All right, guys. Do 155 even, okay, for the new timestamp. I was watching it. It's 155
Got
even.
it.
Here we go, guys. Megadeth, When.
Knowing is a word I say, and my prayers are never answered. But you'll never see the pain inside of me, stabbing me over and over and
Not
over.
like the Joker. The Joker.
I trusted you, and I loved you. Spit back in my face. How could you do this to me? When will you stop trying to hurt me? I've walked a minefield for you. A career in hell with you. I have made it through the things others would surely die just watching. And the oath I take on this day is to know that you will be repaid.
He's angry.
One day the sun will die and the night will crawl. Until then, until I see your world implode, I wish you death and suffering, misery to spare. Time to rehearse your pain. Face the last enemy. I am the last thing you will know. The last thing you will see. I see your death surrounding me. I know you. Yes, I do. I know you.
It's all right. What's wrong with you? That sounds like a battery. Dun, 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 wah, wah. Fucking battery. Go.
No!
Whoa. I don't really know what to think about that song. I don't really know what to think about this song. It seemed like 2 or 3 songs in one song. I'm not sure. Go ahead.
I thought it was interesting.
People were saying, like, he needs to, like, learn how to let shit go.
Oh, well, yeah.
Let it
100%.
go, Dave.
But, like, the slow, like, kind of, like, trudging of it, the like,
doomy.
Like, we were kind of, like, moving sorta. Yeah, I liked that. But I definitely think, like, he does need to let it go. It's... When you're on the outside of a situation, it's easy to be like, whoa, you should just let that go. You know what I mean? But then, like, we have our own situations that we held on to way too long. Yeah. You know, like... Yeah. So, you know,
I agree with that.
I don't know what it's like to put out your music for the fans, and I don't know how much I don't know what he wants from them. I don't know what the fans bring him or give to him. Like, the idea of having, like, a bunch of fans, to me, that sounds exhausting. Like, you know, I remember when we first started the channel, and I had used the word fans, because that's what people were saying. And then you were like, we don't have fans? What are you talking about? That's so weird. And I was like... And then after a while, it did become weird to me as well. And I'm like, yeah, like, the people that show up here, they don't feel like our fans. They feel like our friends, yeah. So I don't know what he gets from it. I don't know, like... I don't know what it's like to put so much into your music and then, you know, to have people, I guess, not like it because they're saying you sold out. I think that's, honestly, I think that that's crazy because, like, I think most people, if they had the opportunity to be in his situation.
Ridiculous.
I mean, I think... I'm saying a most to be a little generous.
No, I'm completely agreeing with you.
I think if people got the opportunity to be a rock star, 1, they would take that. And then 2, if they, you know, directionally wanted to do something different with their music or they wanted to sign with a label and that was going to make them more money. Like, I get it. The fans are calling them sellouts for making those decisions. But, like, how many people would say, you know what, I'm just going to let that go. I'd rather just play in the garage.
What people don't understand is, like, these guys are not as rich as you think they are, number 1. And number 2, I keep trying to explain this to people. It's not how much you spend. It's not how much you make, it's how much you spend. Mm-hmm. So, and especially as a rock star, like, one of the things I talk to with the guys is, like, in order to justify to your girl why you're on tour 2/3 of the year, one of the biggest justifications is, look at this house. Mm-hmm. You see what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Look at everything you have. How do you think it got there? So then you have to maintain that lifestyle.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I've you know, like, with dudes in massive bands where I've had that conversation. You see what I'm saying? And so it's like, yeah, it's really not that different. It doesn't really matter how much you make or don't make. It's really not that different. And so it's like, of course he's gonna... What did James Hetfield say? He said, yep, we sold out every single stadium we go to. You see what I'm saying? Like, we sold out. Right? Like, yeah. And I don't even know what that terminology actually means. Like, does it mean that you didn't recreate the exact same album that you made 5 years ago? What does that mean? Yeah. You see what I'm saying? But that's one of the things about, like, fandom is, like, it's like these parasocial relationships people, you know, people call it, where people think that they have a real relationship with these people, with the person that they admire. Mm-hmm. And I think that happens a lot in metal because metal music is so emotional. Mm-hmm. So because metal music is so emotional, you attach to especially a singer. Although at that time you'd also attach to a guitarist. Like, people fall in love with guitarists as well. Not so much during the nu metal era, but, like, I remember, like, being, like, feeling so close to Jonathan Davis after getting Follow the Leader, because Follow the Leader was the first Korn record I got. It was actually, I think Follow the Leader was the first record I bought for myself ever. And I remember, like, becoming completely and totally like captivated by this dude. But I think I never really, I kind of had this you kind of feel like you have a relationship with him, because, especially Jonathan, because he's so personal, Daddy, the song where he like, so you definitely feel like you're with the person, that you have this kind of relationship with the person, that you know them.
It's so fascinating.
But
I don't even understand it.
Yeah, but one of the things that people don't understand is, I heard this one time from a I think it was a basketball player, and they were talking about how, no, it was a baseball player, and they were talking about how I think it was Alex Rodriguez, how the fans are completely and totally devastated when they lose, right? And then the fan, and this is in New York City, the fan will then run into you, and they're still fucked up over the loss because it only happened a week ago. But you're already thinking about where you're going on vacation. Oh. You're already talking. You're already going through your Rolodex of which girl you're going to take on the vacation. Like that's where. But the guy is like, we lost or whatever, and so like he started taking to acting all grieved in public. So that before he got on the plane, you know what I'm saying? He wouldn't get harassed by the fans, but like, it just shows like you're taking this a lot more seriously than he's taking it.
Yeah,
and that's part of like the relationship too with in music is like you are taking this real metal, like remember the Metal Elitist, shout out to the Metal Elitist, but he's one of those people like, you're taking this a lot more serious than these bands are. Believe me. Like, do you think Danny Filth, like his home is like he's in a cave and all the rest of it? Like, dude, like they're playing a role and they love to play music and that's what they do. And they've been blessed to be able to feed their families off of it. But don't get it twisted. These people are, they're regular human beings. They got,
Yeah. Yeah.
Hard to do it with Amy Lee considering she has, she got, but like the stalker thing is like the crazy end of that spectrum where like people genuinely start believing that the artist owes them something or something like that. It's insane. That's why he says, how could you do this to me after all the hell I've been in my career? Jeez, like he's been through hell in his career, especially Dave Mustaine. Like he got kicked out of the band that he pretty much founded, and then he got to see them blow up without him. He was in Metallica. They kicked him out, replaced him with Kirk Hammett, and then they explode, and he's in his garage. You know what I'm saying? And so he went through hell to get to where he's gotten. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So like, he's like, yeah, man, I've been through hell in this industry. So it's like,
oh my god,
relax, like chill out. Didn't really enjoy this song that much. I'm not gonna lie to you. I didn't really enjoy this song very much.
I mean, that's so funny, because I kind of liked it. I definitely thought he needs to, for me, I
almost felt like he was incarnating as a fan, though. That, like, half of it was him and half of it was the fan saying, how could you do this to me? And, being all crazy.
Okay, that would make more sense, because he just sounded like almost it almost seemed like fake. Like, how could somebody let themselves get this far?
That's what I'm saying.
Like there is a sense in when you let something overtake you, especially like bitterness and unforgiveness and stuff. Like those sorts of things, like they kind of turn you cartoonishly evil sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know. I was a little bit confused with the voice thing, but it was still like, to be honest with you, I did feel a little bit bad because I felt I was entertained by the voice that he was doing and by the anger that he was putting out in the song. And I don't think that's what he was going for. I still
feel like some of it is like he was
what you said,
being a fan.
Yeah, the fan that just keeps more. I'm gonna give this one I'll give this one an 8.9.
Did I rate it yet?
Nope.
All right, it's a solid 7.6 for me.
7.6. Okay, let's see.
Hold on, let me see one more thing. Here, sports is more deeper. Clubs have hundreds of years of history, and they're tied to local culture, history, and sometimes politics. Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's something I don't understand about European sports, but yeah. Like, especially, like, with the soccer thing. Like, soccer's such a big thing over there. Like, people die over it, all type of shit. So, yeah, it's fascinating. Okay.
I sent you Amy's banner.
Okay.
All right. What's next is, and thank you for sending that. Okay. What's up next is Metallica. Oh.
Metallica?
Yeah, I just think that I talked to somebody today that was saying that I'm not positive, but I think somebody was planning on doing this song coming up. So you beat them to it, Nick.
Good.
Metallica, Inamorata? How do you say that?
I don't know. Inamorata. I don't know what Inamorata means, but it means something cool.
Is a closing track on Metallica's most recent album, 72 Seasons, and at 11 minutes 10 seconds is the longest song Metallica has ever written. According to James Hetfield, the main riff of the song was written during a Zoom call with Lars Ulrich. As they were bored and just trying to write anything they could. As soon as they heard the main riff, they knew they had something warranting further investigating. Inamorata means a person's female lover and is derived from the mid-17th century Italian, in which it means enamored. In the context of the lyrics, it's talking about a love-hate relationship with misery. This song features melodic solos, strong vocals, and Sabbath-inspired bass and drum rhythms that keep this expansive song from having any dull moments.
All right, guys.
Let's check it out.
Here we are. Inamorata. Metallica. Let's do it.
Let's.
She
Never heard this from Metallica before.
She needs me, but I need her more. She loves me, but I love her more.
best one. That button was the best one.
The best button. The best button. This song was written after the big homie, shortly after the big homie got divorced.
That's tough.
What do you mean?
Well, divorce, you know.
Yep, divorce is miserable.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is miserable.
Yep. Okay.
I
I liked this song.
Yeah, Metallica had a song called My Friend of Misery. I completely disagree with Ben. I do not think that this is a recycled telling of that song at all. I mean, the only thing that's the same is literally the term misery. But the rest of it, it doesn't sound anything like My Friend of Misery. At all. But anyway, I just had to disagree with the homie Ben. Continue.
I liked it. First of all, the way that it started, it was kind of like we weren't sure, you know, or at least I wasn't sure. But then lyrically, we're talking about. I mean, obviously, he kept repeating the refrain about misery. Hold on, let me pull up the. I'll just pull up the lyrics over here for myself.
Kai gives it a 5.5. How dare you? How dare you do that, Kai?
5, Kai. I mean,
how dare you?
You need to spend some time in the woods. You're getting a little bit too miserable. Welcome, won't you come inside? Meet the ghost where I reside. Despite how they're abusing me, lonely I will never be. Comfort in the hell I know, resentment like a cancer grows. Longing for the day I'm free, burn to get you out of me. Lying, supplying the need, shedding and spreading the seed. Okay, so it kind of sounds like there's this sort of darkness that is destructive for him. Like, he talks about it despite how they're abusing me. He talks about these ghosts that reside in him. It could be the memories of stuff. It could be memories. It could be dark intelligences, demonic forces. I'm not really sure where he's going with it, but when he said, comfort in the hell I know, resentment like a cancer grows, it sort of reminded me of, like, you know, when you have these thoughts, these feelings, conversations, things that you wish you would have said, things you did say, like all these things, like you have to find ways to like release that out. And it sounds like it's staying inside of him. And he's obviously, he talks about misery. Like, remember there was a song that was like, like when it personifies things as a woman, and he personifies misery as a woman that loves him. But then he says, oh, but I love her more. So I do think that, you know, and I've told this story before, but like one of the things of being a parent is sometimes you're teaching your kids something that you're crappy at, but you're still trying to help them because you probably sometimes love them more than you love yourself, because you'll be like, yeah, I will sit in my misery and I'll love my misery. But when you see your child miserable, you're like, well, come on. That's not good. I don't want you like that. And there was, I think he was 4 or 5 at the time, and something hadn't gone his way, and he was very miserable about it. And I was talking to him about, like, you know, because the problem was resolved, but he was still sitting there miserable about it. And then we had the conversation about, like, kind of choosing to come out of that, because you can choose. Right now you're at a decision point, and you're choosing to stay miserable based off of what happened previously, but the stuff is resolved now. So now you can, you know, step out of that and have fun with your brother. And I could tell that he was sort of processing it, and then it was sort of like he understood that he had a decision to make, and it took him like less than a minute. And then he decided, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to stay in this misery. I'm going to go play. And then, you know, he went and started playing with his blocks with his brother or whatever. But it's I mean, I think it happens to the best of us. Like, we end up loving our depression, or loving our misery, or loving our resentment, our bitterness, like these things that are negative that like he said, like they abuse him. But he's never going to be lonely because he's got these bad feelings that in a sense become like a personality to him that comforts him.
Where do you see that it's comforting him?
Well, because he said, despite how they're abusing me, lonely I will never be. Comfort in the hell I know.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know.
Yeah. But I end this war. It's not what I'm living for. And then he and her is done. I didn't think this song needed to be 11 minutes. There's really not a lot of variations lyrically.
Yeah, but that's how Misery is. There's not a lot of variation in Misery. It's
Yeah,
miserable.
I don't think he was being that artistic though about it. I'm always I'm not gonna lie to y'all. I get very disappointed when old people, and he's like 70 now, isn't he?
Oh.
When old people get divorced, that's really fucking disappointing to me.
What year was this?
I mean, he said it was the most recent record, so.
Nick, what year did he get divorced?
My thing is, like, you have to believe that, I mean, he's been in and out of rehab a million times. You have to believe that she did not have a good time the entire time. And so, like, there has to be, there's no real acknowledgement of that it must have been mutual. The misery must have been mutual. Maybe I'm just stereotyping him because 2022. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'm just stereotyping him because he's a rock star. But I also think that she probably endured a bunch of misery. Like when me and my ex got divorced, we had a post-mortem, which now I realize is probably not very common. But it was one of those things where I just sat down and was like, okay, like what happened, you know? And it was after a little time had passed. So the emotions and the we didn't really do a lot of finger pointing because there was not a lot of court stuff. There was no court stuff that happened. It was basically like I got a notification in the mail, okay, it's done type of thing.
Yeah, there actually seemed to be a lot of accountability from the both of you. You know, she would be like, well, it was me, I did this, and this.
Yeah.
And you were like, oh, I was the man, and I, you know, from what I saw, I mean, I wasn't, you know.
Well, it's just, I grew up long enough to see anytime there's a divorce, especially within the church, there's always got to be a bad guy so that you can justify why you committed the crime of getting divorced. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so,
well,
like...
that's an interesting way of putting it, but yeah.
So you want to be able to... You especially in a Christian context, you want to be able to put it on the other person. And I still believe to this day, like, as a Christian, as a man, like, if I told my boys, if it doesn't work out, it's your fault. And maybe that's not literally true, but I definitely want them to carry that at a principial level. So... yeah, we had that conversation, and it's one of those things where it's like you gotta kind of look at yourself. You gotta look at yourself in the mirror, man, and you gotta see shit that maybe you don't want to see. You know, the inability to make it work, I think, is something where, because we have this entire system of like failure and forgiveness in Jesus, you're kind of more able to absorb your inability to make something work that you wanted to work. So you're more able to take the blame a little bit on yourself, because I don't really carry a lot of blame for a lot of shit. Like, if it happens, I just put it on the cross. Obviously, a little bit different for my brother because he's not here anymore, you know. And then I think about his kids, you know, and shit like that. But like personal issues, like I don't really walk around a lot with a lot of that shit. But yeah, like, and I wanted to take it serious too, because I thought to myself, like, this is one of the reasons why remarried people divorce more and quicker than, you know.
Mm-hmm. Your second marriage over and against your first.
Yeah,
and the third one
because,
over and against the second. Each time it happens more quickly.
Yeah, because it's like you want to say that the other person was the problem the entire time. You know what I'm saying? You want to say that it's them, and then there's reasons that your relationship did not work. And yeah, there's two people, but you're in a relationship. You're carrying that shit into the next relationship on top of the baggage of the previous relationship. And so I just think it's insane that people think that they're going to be able to work out another marriage or relationship, especially if you've had a significantly long time in a relationship. So that's the other reason that I decided, like, okay, like, I got to have that conversation, you know, because it's like, if I'm ever going to get a shot at this again, you know, I want to know where I fucked it up so that you can have a, you know, you got to be able to have a shot, you know. James's ex-wife actually helped him get through a lot of tough times, including getting his anger management issues under control. I know they're still on good terms too. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, I'm just not I'm not a fan of older people getting divorced like that. Like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah.
And I just didn't like the song. It was like 11 minutes of ugh. Like, it reminded me why we generally have a 10-minute limit on songs. Usually if you go over 10 minutes, that counts as 2 songs. But, you know. So, yeah, it's a 4 for me. Mega Shells.
A 4?
Yeah, I just, you know, in Dream Theater when they do all the pretentious shit, at least there's like it was the same riff the whole time. I don't know. I just didn't like it.
I actually liked it, and I liked the concept of it because that's, I mean, for me, that's something that, like sometimes I try to figure out, like, why am I miserable right now? Am I miserable because there's a reason to be miserable, or do I just feel melancholy and I'm going along with it? You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to, yeah, I saw that. So I liked the song because I thought that the beginning was a bit convicting when he said,
It was 11 minutes.
Despite how they're abusing me, lonely, I will never be, comfort in the hell I know, resentment like a cancer grows. Because there are certain decisions that I've made internally that felt very destructive, but I went with it anyway. And then eventually it catches up with you and you're like, wow, okay, now I have to work myself out of these thought patterns and out of these paths that I've accustomed myself to, and it's a lot harder to stop the thing and turn it in the other direction than it would have been to have not given myself the break at that point and just being like, I'm just going with this. So I liked the song. I thought it was important as a precautionary tale. Like, obviously when you hear that the divorce was involved, that's a bummer. I mean, and it's like you said, like, it is a little bit, you know, from, you know, we're not half his age, but almost half his age. And it's like, he's going through a divorce. It's like, really? Like, all that time and you guys didn't figure it out. You guys didn't, you couldn't make it. You couldn't make it. And like you said, they must have.
I always tell you, like, shit doesn't always,
yeah.
People don't always work shit out.
Yeah.
They get divorced in their 70s, okay.
I don't even understand that idea. Like, but at the same time, if you're up in your 70s and you don't like each other, but you're saying that they still get along. I don't know, man.
Yeah, I'm sure. I mean, I still get along with my ex.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest with y'all. Should we do it?
Sure.
You
She's
can do it.
she's about 20 feet away right now.
20 feet away from us.
outside that door.
Right outside that door. She's here right now. God. All right. It's a 4.
It's a 9 for me.
It's a 4. And Nick gave it a 7. And a 7 plus 4 is 11, which is...
Yeah,
this song was about 10 minutes and 30 seconds too long, in my opinion.
I hear what you're saying.
All right, guys.
Soraya
Shabatan. All right, guys. Ask me anything for the next 30 seconds. You can ask me anything. I will answer it, inshallah. There is no you guys, sorry. What do you mean there's no you guys? What's that mean? What does that mean, sir? What does that mean? It's Saturday for me. Yes, it's also Saturday for us as well. Yeah, bro. No bullshit. She really is. She really, like, literally outside the studio right now. Like, I could bring her in and have her wave to y'all. I'm not going to do it, but yeah. Yeah. Pray for us. Nah, it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. It's all good.
It's just proof that I'm a saint.
Ben's out here laughing at us. Ben's like, for real? She is? Yes, for real. She is. All right, guys, we got one more song for you losers. One more song for you losers. One thing I always hear about recent Metallica is that they don't know how to edit down their songs anymore. Apparently. There's no God but God, and Jesus is his son. Terrible situation. All right, go ahead.
All right. Okay. The last song on our stream tonight, our
Iran Madan.
top-notch,
Iran Madan.
main stage band. We have Iron Maiden.
Timestamp is 2:44. Holy shit. We went long. 2:44.
2:44.
Just do 2:44:25.
Why does that? Stop looking at me.
What? What are you laughing at?
Okay, Iron Maiden, the Book of Souls. Our DJ Nick says the Book of Souls is the title track from Iron Maiden's 16th album, released in September of 2015. Lyrically, it's about the Mayan Empire. It's their demise. It's also a metaphorical analyzation of how empires eventually fall one way or another. Also, the Mayans believed that souls live on after death. The band actually brought in Mayan scholar Simon Martin to verify the accuracy of the album's artwork and even translated all of the album's song titles into Mayan hieroglyphics, featuring Iron Maiden's signature slow burn intro into fast-paced, heavy riffing accompanied by Steve Harris's signature galloping bass work, Nico McBrain's in the pocket drumming, and Bruce Dickinson's powerful, commanding vocals.
That's what I'm saying. Nick, you really need to work for these people, bro. Seriously.
All right, you guys, let's check it out. You know what the song is. It's The Book of Souls by Iron Maiden.
You know what the band is. Iron Maiden, dear listener. Up them irons, you losers. Let's go. Is this a lyric video? It says lyric video right there.
Oh, it is.
Too broke to pay attention.
A fight to earth and his are given from his mind.
picky. Gotta be some harmony coming. It's gotta be some harmony coming. Come on. Guitar harmony over with. That, dear listener, That was Book of Souls by a band. I don't know if you've heard of them before, dear listener. They are called Iron Maiden. What's going on with you?
I like that one.
What you mean?
I'm not like a big. I think this is one thing I realized. I'm not like a giant Iron Maiden fan.
How dare you? How dare you?
But they have like, you know, there's something like a classic sound that they have that you expect to hear. So, I like this one. What?
It's amazing to me that you give it such a tepid response after you listen to that monstrosity from Metallica.
Rude.
11-minute monstrosity.
How dare you? How dare you?
This had variation. This had harmonization.
Mm-hmm.
It was great. The
I
lyrics,
liked it, especially
the
the-
lyrics
I
were
liked the
going
beginning and the
somewhere.
ending,
It
too.
justified the 10 minutes in the song. Continue.
Well, I'm glad you feel that way, Vin. So, what was going on with you with the song?
Well, I had a teacher in the 5th grade
Okay.
that made me fall in love with history. I forgot her name. She's definitely gone now.
Okay.
She has to be. She was not the most healthy individual, if you understand what I'm saying.
Oh no.
But the way she told history,
Is it because she loved it?
I think so. And like it was almost like a play, like the way she talked about it.
Well, when you talk about it, you end up doing that too.
And she would like stand us up, and it was like meeting Cortez and Montezuma, blah blah blah. I don't know
Really?
which one was missed, but like, yeah, it was just cool. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It was like
What grade was it?
5th grade. It was just like very immersive, and it's funny because me and her didn't get along, so I never told her how much I loved that class. But yeah, she just because she taught American history and all the rest of it, but when she got to that history, the whole entire class was different.
Really?
Yeah, it was crazy. So. And then she talked to us about the sacrificial system they had. It was fucking, but it was the first time I ran into the whole, there's a drought.
Yeah.
We made the gods angry. We got to sacrifice this person.
Yeah.
And then it got to the point where their gods like really wanted blood. And so they went to, they practiced warfare a bunch. Mm-hmm. And so you had, I'm pretty sure, remember that Apocalyptico? The Mel Gibson joint, and it followed that guy, and he was trying to survive, and then his girl, and then at the end you saw the ships coming at the end. I'm pretty sure the bad guys there were Aztecs. Pretty sure those bad guys there were Aztecs. So like, go ahead.
I'm pretty sure that when we were, like you had to do like current events and different stuff like that, where they make you kind of like look into stuff in school. Same thing. And I think that there was something in the newspaper about a Mayan girl that they had found, and she was at the base of a thing.
Yes.
But she was young. She was like 15 or something.
Yes.
And she had been sacrificed.
It was
for some
her
purpose.
and her brother.
Ugh.
And there were drugs in her system too. There was some sort of opiate in her system. But yeah, she had been sacrificed.
I'm pretty sure that was the first time I heard about that culture.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy because how did she get preserved? She got preserved somehow. I don't know. I
thought it was because it was frozen, but how could that have been?
Not sure.
Yeah. But I know I saw like her body, like like it is weird how they'll just like kind of put that stuff out there. Like when something is that old, they just like put it out there like it's.
Yeah, it's over with.
Yeah.
It's also interesting like how we can get, because there's so much time between these people's civilization and now, we can kind of make the dichotomy between they had some really fucked up practices, and simultaneously one of the reasons why they're still in common parlance is just because of how sophisticated they were. I mean, they had a calendar, the Mayan calendar and all the rest.
Yeah.
They were super sophisticated at mathematics, and so it's like,
But yet they thought that they should sacrifice.
But I don't. It's interesting too because they talk about gods, but they also talk about aliens in the song. And I don't look at their sacrifice of people to appease their gods is a lack of intellect. Because what I believe is that that's probably exactly what happened. They were probably interfacing with
Oh my gosh.
some very bad actors who said, this is how we're going to, this is what we're going to do.
Oh my gosh.
And
I never considered that.
Yeah, and I also think that
Where did it say something about aliens? What?
like at the very, very end, they're talking about the planetary cycles, the phase of the moon. And it says right there, prophecy of sky gods, the son of the moon. Yeah, toward the end, it talks about aliens or whatever. Hold on, let me see.
Yeah, I mean, it reminded me, like, once you started talking about it, there was that guy that was saying that there was some sort of a ship and it had a bunch of children on it.
Yeah, alien invasion. Right there, alien invasion brings nothing but death.
Mass exodus in plant life.
Yeah, I mean, so look, I take a Michael Heiser, Jacques Vallée type view, where Michael Heiser says that all the nations had gods that were assigned to them from the Most High, and that they're real and legitimate beings, and real and legitimate could be called gods. And I am not sure that they also were not given some sort of jurisdiction over the weather and things like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that they weren't given that. And so it's like,
Yeah.
so that's Michael Heiser's view.
Yeah.
And the other, the Jacques Vallée view is that what we call gods, fairies, whatever, could easily be, he doesn't believe in space aliens, he believes in interdimensionals, that these are interdimensional beings. And he said something very interesting in that book we were reading. He said that they do certain things to influence history.
That's weird.
So that they have a macro and a very purposeful goal to push history in a certain direction. And if you listen to guys like Gary Nolan and things like that, you see something really interesting, which is there's always some sort of exchange. There's always some intellectual property or technology that a given group is given in exchange for something really horrible, like offering up your women as some sort of sexual sacrifice for, hybridization, or just wanting people to die, just wanting blood, right? This guy on Joe Rogan, he's like, well, yeah, there's a bunch of theories. One theory is that somehow negative psychic energy is currency in their world. And so, like, he couldn't understand what he was saying. He talks about negative psychic energy, and it somehow functions as currency for these interdimensionals. So,
What do you mean he didn't know what he was saying? What?
well, because that's what we say about the devil and all the rest of it, is
Oh,
that
yeah.
they feed off of negative psychic energy.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's things like that where it's like all those combined, and I look at Mayan culture, I'm like, this makes sense. You have the trade-off of, here are these sacrifices, and then here's all this technology and ingenuity. And you can, and then you see it all over the place. So it's the same thing with Molech.
Yeah.
These societies did not talk to each other, right? So ancient Canaanite society and ancient Mayan society did not talk to each other.
Right.
And yet you have it again. The Canaanites were advanced for who they were, and yet they sacrificed their children to their gods for whatever reason. Somehow they got the idea. And think about how anti-evolutionary, anti-natural selection
Yeah.
it is to sacrifice
Yeah.
your child, to
Yeah.
kill, to murder your child, right? And I'm even talking about a child that you can see, that the community can see, that your wife gave birth to in a hut, screaming her head off. That, like, where is the natural selection
Yeah.
benefit of that?
Yeah.
For us to invent such a religion, and so it's like you have these on different continents, all over the world in different time periods, sometimes contemporary time periods. Where are people getting that idea?
Yeah.
And so I do think that that they absolutely interface with divine beings who exchanged all that intellectual property for that negative psychic energy and for the destruction of their own children. I absolutely believe that. And I think you get these communities and these societies that stand the test of time where we're still looking at them and saying, what the hell? How did they do this? How did they understand this? You know, some of these guys have made batteries and things like that. Like, how?
Yeah.
I think that you know, modern people are so arrogant and silly and really so ethnocentric that unless Lesser God Lonely is my Fortnite name. That's a pretty badass name, Jet. I ain't gonna lie to you. And I hope you can be 2/3 of that name when this is all over. I'm very confident that will happen. But yeah, I think that the world is a lot more strange than people try to think it is and try to say it is. And you know, you can say that these people just randomly decided to murder their children and sacrifice their babies, and you know, they just made it up for whatever reason. I mean, you could say that. But I also think that you have to contend with the fact that that's sort of a pandemic all over the world in cultures where people couldn't talk to each other. There was no internet. There's no memeology for that to happen. So how did that happen?
Yeah.
And I think people really need to contend with that. I think that all of that shit is on the table for me. I'm not gonna burn at the stake for it, but yeah, I believe absolutely that's what happened. So
yeah,
I think at some point leaders make those decisions for their people and the people follow, unfortunately, which obviously has implications for us because we're currently at the top of the hill, technologically speaking. And so it's like, especially now with all this new UAP stuff that people are talking about, and it seems like America's at the head of the tip of the spear with that. It's like, what is the trade-off? Like, nobody's asking those questions. Like, these guys are talking about, like, you know, these are gifts. You know, they're talking about these ships that they're reverse engineering, and we have reverse engineering programs. It's like, these are gifts. And I'm like, there's no gifts. Nothing is for free.
Yeah.
Right? So, very, very fascinating stuff. 9.4 for me.
I would give this one a solid 9.
All right, dear listener, that was DJ freaking Nick.
DJ Nick, you guys.
Thank you guys so much for hanging out.
Don't forget to check the list on Patreon to see what upcoming streams are up and coming.
Yes, and if you have a free slot and you want to operate, do your thing. Just look for Vid and Story on Patreon. If you want to get in there, get in there. 4-song minimum. And if you get 2 songs and your friend gets 2 songs, you guys combine them together, that works. If you get 1 song, your friends get 3 songs, that works. All those things work. Okay, dear listener, there's multiple ways. Multiple ways. Any other questions?
Comments.
Concerns. Vin out.
Story out.
Go.